What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Mixing It Up podcast. We're your hosts, Nate Tussing, Hunter Doyle here, coming to you from a sad Monday after the loss. Hunter's a little happy because the Eagles won, but for us Bengals fans, it's a rough day, especially with just how close we could. But there's a lot of positive, a lot of things to decipher. Just talking about how the game went. So we're going to give you guys some post game analysis, talking about some things we liked, some things we didn't, and we'll even do a little injury report update. Just some stuff with Joe Burrow and people that were injured last game. But yeah, let's get right into it. The Bengals obviously lost the game to the Green Bay Packers 25-22 in overtime. It was a crazy game, nail biter. One thing we could talk about, let's just start with the positives just to keep the mood light. Ja'Marr Chase. Hunter, talk to me about Ja'Marr Chase. Tell me a little bit about, there's so much to talk about Ja'Marr, but just let me hear some happiness.
I thought he almost had a third touchdown with that bobble, and then he hit the ground and got up and started running. That would have been crazy. But look, Jamar's the real deal now. I mean, I have him on my fantasy team too. So I'm already starting him next week. Like, that's pretty much been decided. Look, Ja'Marr is just a physical specimen. I mean, for one, he's a big body, so he can go up and get the ball if you need him to, and he can blow by people as well. Like, to have that speed at his size, and it amazes me that people were kind of jumping off the Ja'Marr Chase hype train after the preseason. Look, the guy didn't play a full year last year. He took a year off because of COVID, like most guys did. So, of course, he's going to look a little slow coming out in the preseason, and drops are still going to happen from time to time, but look, CeeDee Lamb had like 8 drops last year, but he's still an absolute beast. I mean, you can deal with them if you're going to overcome them as well. And this is becoming the norm for Ja'Marr. I mean, it feels like he's the Justin Jefferson of this year, very fitting since both of them were at LSU together. And Ja'Marr can do pretty much, he can run any route you need him to. He can play in the slot. He can play outside if you need him to. The only knock people could come up with on this guy was that he was a little disinterested in run blocking, which to me, that's like the last thing I'm worried about with the wide receiver. If you can run block, that's awesome. But, of course, if you're not involved in the play, sometimes, that's kind of the norm. Guys aren't going to be as interested. But if that's your only knock on the guy, come on.
Yeah.
He's a legit player, and him and Joey B just had that connection. And yesterday was just another example of it to me. Like, I wasn't even that surprised by what Ja'Marr did yesterday, which just shows how great he really is.
Yeah. There were I think Sports Center today had 2 Ja'Marr catches in their top 10, I think number 8 and 7 or something like that. So people are seeing that Ja'Marr Chase is the real deal. He's showing it. I think a lot of us Bengals fans never really doubted that, but yeah, and Hunter never doubted that being from watching him at LSU. This dude's the real deal.
Yeah.
But let's break it down. There were 5 quarters this game because of overtime. First quarter, and so I'm starting to take notes with games and stuff, just because that's something that I think helps you remember things. The defense started out really strong. The Packers went scoreless in the first quarter. Logan Wilson, I think, is having an explosive year too. Hunter and I were high on him when we got him in the 3rd round last year. It was a very under the radar, very under the radar pick, and he didn't do that much last year, but this year he is looking phenomenal. Our offensive line got bullied in this game. And I think they only had 3 sacks on us, but Joe Burrow had very little time to throw. I was watching the Bills Chiefs game, and just the amount of time that Patrick Mahomes has to throw the ball is like, it blows my mind. He had 8 seconds, I think, in one play to throw the ball. I'm like, we don't even get that in a whole drive, So it definitely, the offensive line needs to work on it. I made some knocks on people that got allowed a sack. There were 3 sacks. Riley Reef allowed 1 on a 4-person rush. By the way, they only had rushed 4 people. And if those that can't count, we have 5 offensive linemen. So why are we allowing a sack? Riley Reef had a bad one. Jackson Carman got beat quite a bit. He didn't allow many sacks, but what he did is he would get pushed back until the pocket closed around Joe and he had to get out. Jonah Williams had another one. And so it's tough. And Hunter, being just an NFL, connoisseur, just talk about how important the offensive line is, especially for a developing team like this, and to have a struggling line like this. Are there some ways that they can improve, or just give me your thoughts on offensive line, the lineman issue?
Well, I think as a play caller, when your offensive line is struggling, you should make some adjustments. And I know that while Joe Burrow likes him a lot, the play calling has been of heavy criticism in Cincinnati. And look, I'm not going to criticize him too hard because I've dealt with Nick Sirianni and now Doug Peterson as well, or other way around, Doug Peterson and now Nick Sirianni, who don't run the ball at all, mind you. You know, there are ways you can counteract when there's pressure coming, like try to get them out there on a screen pass or try to just run ball. This doesn't really apply to the Bengals more, but just try to continue to pound that run game just because, especially in the first half, just because when your offensive line is out there, even, I don't want to defend the offensive line too much, but when they're absorbing all those hits constantly, it's better to be the aggressor when you're going out there trying to run block sometimes than rather be the one who's being aggressed against, for lack of a better term. But, there are ways you can counteract that. Just screen passes out wide, just get the quick game going, the short game, all that stuff. So, I think Zach Taylor's done that at times, but I think one play calling, I could go more in depth on that too, misdirection and all that. We could do a whole film study on that. But play calling, also just keeping your tight ends in to just chip at times too, or wide receiver to just chip at times. Chip the defensive end and get him off his game and knock him a little bit. Let him know you're not just going to get upfield right away, right? I think that could help as well. I know you took some notes on the running backs and pass protection, having guys out there to protect a little bit better and just read a little bit better pre-snap could help too. So we'll go through that all in the film this week and, anything you guys want to see, but there's definitely, it's definitely frustrating when, like you said, you have a 4-man rush some of the times and they're getting home. Like, yes, there are some good defensive lines, but like against the Packers, no offense to the Packers, they have some dudes there. They do. But when you have a franchise quarterback like Joey B, you want to find ways to protect him even when there's only 4 guys coming. Right. So they've got to do a little bit better job at that. And
Yeah. So, we talked about the offensive line and you mentioned the running backs. Let's bring up that because last minute decision, Joe Mixon would be getting a bunch of limited snaps and splitting them with Samaje Perine and Chris Evans. And I think it went pretty solid. All in all, we had 103 rushing yards, which isn't anything crazy. That's better than, 20-30% of the NFL teams. Perine can't pass block. I think that's an issue. We really should have kept Gio. Gio was a great third down back and pass blocker. So it stinks that Perine is that next guy. But I think one thing, just to talk about the O-line combination with the run, is the run blocking on our O-line has gotten a lot better. Quentin Spain looked so good in the first quarter to first half. He was a part of a big, I think, 15-yard plus gain by Perine run. And Chris Evans, we don't talk about him very much. He's got a cool name, but the dude is pretty solid. He had some big plays here and there on third down, some big runs. I'd like to see him get more time. He kind of reminds me of a Giovanni Bernard type guy with a third back, receiving back type guy. So I was really impressed by that. Hunter and I, we talked about him off camera. We talked about Chris Evans when we drafted him just a little bit, how, he looked pretty good over in Michigan. And so I'd like to see him get him more time. Joe Mixon broke some ankles later in the game. Beautiful seeing that.
One touchdown run, man. Was just unreal. I tweeted that out on our Twitter account.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was cool to see that. I wish he would have got a little more time, but honestly, I'm a big fan of making sure someone's fully healthy before they get full participation. And Absolutely. I know as Eagles fans, you guys feel the same way. More than anyone, you need to make sure
Phillies
someone's
fans
healthy.
too.
And Phillies fans, yeah, it's a very important thing. So running backs, not too bad. Joe Burrow, let's talk a little bit about him.
Also, well, real quick, speaking of Evans, loss of a core special teamer in Jordan Evans. That sucks.
Oh yeah. If those don't know, he's out for the year with a torn ACL. Really sad. Rough to see him go. Really good on special teams, and Hunter and I are big on special teams, so it is a shame to see him down. Prayers up for him, and a good recovery. But yeah, so Joe Burrow. Let's talk about him. A lot of people are blaming a lot of things on Joe Burrow. A lot of people are saying this and that. Let's break down Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow had 281 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Now these two interceptions, were rare and I think a one-time thing. People like to say, "Oh, but look at the stats. He threw 2 interceptions. He's going downhill." The first interception, he was scrambling away, and this is just an inexperienced play for him to try and throw it out to, I believe it was Auden Tate, there into the goal line, and it gets picked off. That's just inexperience. He now knows that's one time. The next time he's going to throw it away or run it or something like that. Joe Burrow, he's going to learn. This isn't a common thing where we see Zach Wilson on the Jets have 3 people wide open. He throws to the guy in double coverage and doesn't even hit his mark at all. Like Joe Burrow, this is fine. The second interception was a little more confusing in overtime. He just dropped. It was like a 5-yard interception. It was a miscommunication between wide receivers. And if you actually look at the play and how it was developing, it wasn't the worst call to make. It was just really unfortunate how it turned out and how it ended. But I still think Joe Burrow is looking solid. Hunter, Joe Burrow thoughts, kind of just after this game and just the season in general.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the second interception was really bad. It looked like he just tried to do a little no-look pass, which if you don't have Patrick Mahomes' arm, that's not going to work too well. But look, I think people have to remember, like, because of the injury, he's still pretty young. I mean, he's inexperienced, like you said. Like, he's going to continue learning, and I think people have grown so accustomed to Mahomes just being amazing in year one because he took a year off in the first year. Not took a year off, but they wanted to redshirt him kind of, and just like seeing guys come into the fold, or like also like Carson Wentz too. When he first came into the NFL, he just lit the league on fire. And I think people just kind of expect that in a way, almost from every rookie quarterback now, rather than the Josh Allens who took some time. People forget, like, he was not that great to start off. Like, he took time and wasn't amazing his first few years. And like, Tua is a different one because I think there's reason to be concerned about him, but you don't know. Like, Tua could still, in a couple of years or so, maybe we'll be talking about him a little bit differently. I'm not saying I'm a believer in that quite yet. I'm just kind of observing what we have here from Tua and, making observations on it, for lack of a better term. So I just used the same word twice, but you get the point though. Like, I think Joe Burrow, I mean, we've already seen a lot of flashes and we've already seen him kind of dominate at times. So I don't think there's reason to be concerned just yet, even after the Bears game too. I think there are times where he can make a little bit better decisions because I think he's either a little bit too cautious where he just kind of keeps it underneath, and he does a good job making good decisions and not putting the ball in harm's way too often. That's what we praise him for at LSU. But I also wish he would kind of try to get it down the field a little bit more. I just think sometimes, it's just he's kind of learning and making some inexperienced, still rookie mistakes that he's got to clean up. And again, like I said, like, he didn't play a full season last year. So it's not like Jalen Hurts, because Jalen Hurts only played like 4.5 games, but at the same time, this is almost Jalen Hurts' rookie season. I'm not saying this is Joe Burrow's rookie season, but he's still kind of learning the ropes a little bit.
Yeah, and it certainly doesn't help being pressured a lot. The offensive line was horrible in the first half. They got it together.
And real quick on that too. I mean, when you get pressured like that, you start to anticipate pressure when it's not there. So
exactly. And so there's some. Yeah, I saw that where he was expecting something to happen just because it's usually and then they didn't get pressured and so he ran for nothing or something like that. But the wide receiver core, just for the record, everybody, if you check to my pregame, I did call Jamar having 100+ yards receiving and a touchdown, as well as Trey Hendrickson's 2 sacks. So I just want to point out that I was right with those predictions. I was wrong with others, but Jamar looked solid. I think a lot of people underestimate the game that Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins had. They didn't get many crazy yards. They got 50 yards between the two of them, but they had crucial yards. 4th downs. We went for it twice. We got it twice. They had some big things. Joe Burrow getting blitzed, throws it away to T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. That was big. But I want to talk about this. Our 3rd down offense was atrocious. The first half of the game, we didn't convert once on 3rd down, and we had 2 touchdowns. So we went for it on 4th down twice. The 3rd down was horrible. This was disgusting. It was 3rd and 3. It was 2nd and 3, and Zach Taylor, and we all know it's Zach Taylor calling these plays. There were not many audibles in this play. Zach Taylor calls a doubles, and then he calls like Jamar to run like a deep dig, a post route. Like I'm like, why are you calling long passes on a 2nd and 3 and then a 3rd and 3, and then we go for it on 4th and we do a short pass or a run? I'm like, you should have done that on 3rd down. I really didn't like to see those play calls from Zach Taylor, and I still question his play calling. But he had some good adaptation. So we got touchdowns when we needed it. That third quarter was beautiful, just with driving down the field on that play, and then getting in the end zone with Joe Mixon, and then that 2-point conversion with T. So that was good to see. But some of these plays scratch my head, and I'm like, what, why do that? Well, at the end of the game, we talk about it was we were at their 40, would have been, it was going to be a 57, 58-yard field goal. It was 4th and 2, I believe, or 4th and 3, 4th and 1. And he decides to kick the field goal. What happens? Evan McPherson misses it. I personally think he should have gone for it, because we just saw Evan McPherson miss another 50-yarder. Mason Crosby miss a 40 and a 50. The wind was a little rough there, so I would have rather him get closer. But at the end of the day, a lot of people are going to hash on Evan McPherson. The dude's a rookie. Keep in mind, he nailed 2 game winners before this. The dude is going to be a great kicker for a long time. I mean, just to show how tough it was to kick field goals this game. Look at Mason Crosby. The dude hit 26 field goals consecutively, and he misses 3 in a row. This was a tough game for field goals, and I can't hash it on Evan McPherson for missing those. I know it's his job, but it's also the offense's job to get him in field goal position. And a 59-yard field goal and a 57-yard field goal isn't really field goal position, and he's got a long career ahead of him. I'm not mad at Evan McPherson. But let's move on to the defense. And now,
can I say something real quick too?
Yeah, chime in.
The amount of times they got in 3rd and short and couldn't convert, that can't happen as a play caller and as an offense too. You have to go out there and execute the play for 1, and 2, you have to call something that's gonna, like you said, going deep a couple times on 3rd and 3, and then have to go for it. And also, not to mention, if they weren't in 3rd and short and not converting, I remember there was one. Never mind, I was remembering something wrong, but. If they weren't in 3rd and short, they were putting themselves in 3rd and long. And ideally, you want to put yourself in 3rd and short. And they did a good amount of the time, and they still couldn't convert. So then when they put themselves in 3rd and long, it was like, well, if they can't convert a 3rd and short, I mean, who's going to believe that we're going to convert on 3rd and long at this point? So you got to, if you're going to be a championship / playoff team, even 3rd down is crucial.
Right. I'm right there with you. And well, before we drop into defense, we'll talk about a little bit special teams, because we were talking about Evan McPherson. There was a bright spot on special teams. Hunter and I love this guy, Brandon Wilson. Love that guy. Great kick returner. Had some great plays. Hunter, you can just talk a little bit about him, because we both are big fans of him.
Yeah, that was a big return he had. The 44-yard return put them in good field position. And look, special teams is huge. Whether it's a punt, getting the gunners down there to spot it. Whether it's just the punter getting a good bounce and getting that backspin, whether it's a returner like Brandon Wilson, or whether it's just, being sound on the field goal unit, or just, maybe getting a little bit of confusion for the other team and maybe getting a pump block like the Eagles did yesterday. Like, special teams can win or lose you a game. And look, Brandon Wilson, I mean, what more can you ask from the guy? Just continually getting us in the good field position, it feels like. There's a reason he was all pro first team last year, right? I believe.
I don't know. We don't get much recognition, but I don't know. I think he was up there in the talk, I think, at the very least.
Either way, putting your offense in good field position like that, especially when they've been, struggling a little bit and sputtering at times, that's huge. Yeah. That can be a spark, and just to have him out there. And also McPherson too, McPherson had a rough game yesterday, but let's not forget he kicked 2 game-winning field goals, and that the guy, it's his first year, like you said, right? Jake Elliott kicked the 61-yarder his rookie year, but didn't mean he didn't miss some crucial field goals. And he still does now. But look, McPherson's got a good leg on him. There's a reason he was drafted in the 5th round. Even though I'm not a fan of spending draft picks on kickers, he is a really good part of the team. So.
When you have a kicker like Randy Bullock, you want to get a new kicker as fast as possible.
One thing did have Jake Elliott, but
we did. Don't even bring that up.
Also,
we did have him, and we got rid of him. But on the other side of special teams, our kicking, we had some pretty horrible recoveries of the ball. We ran in front of the ball and stopped it from going farther down the lane. We missed within the 5-yard punt, and it touched it and it went for a touchback. So we need to clean up a little bit on that act, but Kevin Huber's still the GOAT. Clark Harris, love that guy. There was some funny pictures from the game. Love Clark Harris. Such a nice dude. I got to chat with him. Yeah, he's the better Aaron Rodgers. I'm telling you, he's a nice dude. Got to have a catch with him in a chat before one of the games. Let's talk about this defense now. And there's a lot to decipher, but I just want to look back. This defense has come such a far away from what it was last year. We were last in almost every category last year, and to be top 10 in almost every category is insane. I mean, don't get me wrong. Devontae Adams had a day. There's really not many people in this NFL that can cover Devontae Adams, and so to start out, Chidobe Awuzie was on Devontae Adams. He did pretty good. Chidobe Awuzie isn't our number one guy. You know who is? Trey Waynes. You know who couldn't do that? Trey Waynes. And so Trey Waynes had to go sit. I don't even know who he was playing coverage on. Certainly not maybe Mercedes Lewis or something like that. I don't know because Mike Hilton did a great job containing Randall Cobb, and Awuzie did the best he could. There were some questionable plays on defense where it was this is one thing. It was third and short for the Packers, and we call zone. And keep in mind, this is a team that has gotten no pressures in the first half. So why would you call zone where the guy's going to have plenty of time? Someone's going to get open. You need to call man here. I don't know. That was just a little questionable for me. But I think the defense played well despite everybody freaking out. Oh, the Bengals suck. They gave up 200 yards to Devontae Adams. Well, if you look at true statistics, yeah, we gave up 200 yards to Devontae Adams. We allowed two touchdowns out of 5 trips in the red zone. Those were both in the second quarter. But besides that, they got to the red zone 3 more times. Didn't get any touchdowns. We forced them to field goals, which is, I think, so important. That's what kept us in that game. To get to the red zone 5 times and only score twice in touchdowns is really why it kept us so close in this game. Trey Hendrickson had a great game. He was getting pressure and sacks and stuff like that. Hunter, who are some people that you saw in the game that you thought had a good game, at least on the defensive side?
Well, DJ Reader again. I mean, the guy's unstoppable.
Yeah.
The Jaguars tried to block him up with 3 guys a couple weeks ago, right? Or a week ago, I guess. But look, he just continues. I think there was one call where it was probably holding that didn't get called, and I think he thought it was holding. Just the fact that he's even forcing that. I mean, guys are having to hold it back just to, and this is a good Packers O-line. Like, I know they aren't the same that they've been in the past, but like they've still got some dudes on there, like Elton Jenkins.
Yeah.
So, DJ just continues to dominate. I thought the run defense could have been a little bit better. I mean, Aaron Jones kind of got his yesterday, 7.4 per carry. So got to be a little bit better in that aspect. But, like you said, it's better than the linebacker situation last year. I think at least we have some promise there. Logan Wilson and other guys as well. And yeah, I mean, Von Bell had a couple tackles for loss. It seemed like the secondary as a whole, while they struggled against Devontae Adams, one, I think you have to count for the fact that the Packers are going to find ways to get Devontae over, right? Because I think there was like a variation of the dagger concept where they just got him on a deep dig and they just cleared both of the guys deep. And I think they were playing quarters, the Packers or the Bengals were. So the Packers are going to do a good job of making sure to find ways to get him the ball, even no matter what the coverage is. And him and Aaron Rodgers, they just know that together. But also I thought that like on those little smoke screens they did where the Packers were Aaron Rodgers, just as soon as he gets the ball, he just throws it out wide. Like the Bengals were stopping those. And you don't see too many teams. Not too many teams can stop that. Like Aaron Rodgers is always, when he sees that, he goes right to it. And if you can take that away, that's big thing, because that's one of Aaron Rodgers like go-to little, I don't know if you can call it a cheat code type thing, but I mean, he's just so good at it and just has that chemistry. Like he just looks over and the wide receiver knows. A lot of those short passes were not working against the Bengals secondary yesterday. Like they were all over it. And it reminded me a lot of, there was one hit that reminded me a lot of the one that I think it was Von Bell put on Juju last year. I don't know who got the ball, but they stopped him short. And look, the Bengals secondary is much better. Like you said, Trey Waynes is kind of annoying, but I think mostly also because he was out for so long and just, we're paying him money. But yeah, I mean, those are just a couple of names. I mean, Awuzie, like you said, he's been so much better than I thought he would be. He was good with Dallas, but I didn't think he would be this good with Cincinnati. So it's been even better than last year, and we're kind of seeing them continue to improve. And the fact that even with Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones going off, that they kind of held the Packers in check for as long as they did and gave their offense a chance to come back and be in this game is huge.
Yeah, and I love that you brought up Awuzie. He had such a big task ahead of him to go in man against Devontae Adams. Keep in mind, this should be Trey Waynes' job because he's our cornerback number 1, but he Awuzie had an interception, few pass deflects. There was a few plays where him and Jesse Bates had a miscommunication, and that was that 70-yard reception to Devontae Adams that was big. And then we put on Jesse Bates and Awuzie, and Devontae Adams can just blow by anyone. So it's tough to cover Devontae Adams. But I think, they did a good job. They read those screen routes, like you were saying. Awuzie had, I think, at least 2 tackles there where he was right on it. Von Bell had a good read. I wrote in my notes, I wrote, Trey Wayne sucks 3 times. So when Awuzie went down, it was then him and Eli Apple's job to take on Devontae Adams. And you think Trey Wayne's getting paid $50-some million in a contract with us versus Eli Apple, who's on a 1-year contract. Who would take Devontae Adams? Do you think Trey Wayne's? Nope. Eli Apple. Trey Wayne's wasn't there again. And Eli Apple gets burned because it's Eli Apple versus Devontae Adams. And then Trey Wayne's gets on him. That 3rd and 17 play that got them in setup for field goal position. 3rd and 17. There's no way you let that convert. Trey Wayne's pulled something, and that's why it went down. But if you look, he was already burned before he started limping. And then in that play resulted in Jesse Bates also going down. So Trey Wayne just caused 2 big issues there. But honestly, I think it sucks that we gave Trey Wayne so much money when we could have Stephon Gilmore for around the same contract. It is unfortunate, but Awuzie's looking solid, and I hope Trey Wayne's comes back to what he was. But just bringing up the whole thing, a few injury notes. Joe Burrow went to the hospital yesterday for a possible throat contusion. He is all good. Zach Taylor talked about it. It was just a very precautionary decision. He's good. He's talking. The dude threw a 70-yard reception when he went down with that hit. Few scary hits by him, but he's looking good. Jesse Bates also feeling fine. Trey Wayne's is in the air. A big blow though is Jackson Carman and Samaje Perine are both out with the COVID. So I don't know when they'll return. I don't know what the policy is for vaccinated versus unvaccinated, but I'll keep you guys posted on that. So if Jackson Carman's out, that's going to be rough because we also have Xavier Suafilo on the IR for another 2 weeks at least. So, but we're 3-2. We contended with a possible Super Bowl contending team. We kept it close. I think our defense played well. Offense could have done some things here and there, but this is hopeful. If you look at the rest of the AFC, there's a chance. Hunter, is there a chance we can make the playoffs? Sneak into that wild card spot?
Oh, definitely. They can definitely, the Bengals can definitely make the playoffs this year. It's a much better team. And look, just looking at the playoff picture, obviously you got your big dogs this year, which might not include the Chiefs, surprisingly, which is a whole nother topic. But Chargers, Bills, those are the 2 big ones right now. Obviously, like the Browns are still pretty good, even though they're 3-2. They have played some really close games against some tough teams, right? And you've also got Baltimore in the mix. You've got Tennessee in there. But look, I think, Tennessee hasn't looked as good this year. Baltimore and Cleveland, those are always going to be a battle because same division. And also, I don't really see too many teams outside of the ones I mentioned. Like, I'm not seeing too many teams that I'd be too worried about. Like maybe the Raiders, but the Raiders always, like they proved yesterday again. Like they always play their opponent's level. And I thought maybe that was changing this year. And then, they go out there and just put up a dud on offense yesterday. So, granted against a really good Bears defense, but look, the Raiders, I'm just never a really believer in them. And out of all those teams, you got to think the Bengals will take home a wild card spot at the least, and they can definitely compete for the division too. Like, don't rule that out. I think Cleveland and Baltimore are definitely probably the favorites over us, but I wouldn't say that the Bengals are out of the picture for that. So I think, you look at division and then wild card, is kind of your safety blanket, and I absolutely think that it can be a safety blanket. Like, is Denver? You expect Denver? New England's kind of up in the air.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh's not that great. The Colts, who knows what they're going to be. We'll see how they play tonight. Carson does tend to show up in these weird types of games after playing really bad, but, you don't know if he'll ever be the same again with his confidence. Like, Miami's still without Tua. We'll see if that remains this week. And then you got the Jets, the Texans, and the Jaguars, which is just like the bottom tier. So, the Chiefs will find their way up. I think they're going to make the playoffs, but you can't tell me the Bengals can't get a 6 or 7 seed this year.
Yeah. And I think the key is that you just got to win the games that you need to win. This Lions game, we need to win this game. We play the Browns and the Ravens again, or two times still, and then the Steelers. So we need to somehow split in the division. We play the Raiders and the Broncos. Those are must-win games because that could be fighting for the playoff spot against the Raiders. Honestly, I sound a little cocky here, but we play the Chiefs week 17. Hey, I don't know, man. The Chiefs don't look the same, but they always find a way. But that's pretty much, the coverage. It was a tough loss, but there is hope for us. there's certainly so much more hope than we had last year.
Yeah.
There's so many things that still need to develop, but we have a bright future. And as a Bengals fan, I'm excited. Hunter and a lot of my Eagles friends are also. They say that it's just fun to watch the Bengals play, and it's you want to root for the Bengals, you know. So yeah, so later this week, we might be getting some film study in. If you guys want to see some of that, let us know. I'm going to try and get an injury report out, and then also the pregame for the Lions and Bengals. Hunter, anything else you want to add?
Hey, look, the Lions are going to be hungry next week. They're 0-5, but they've played some pretty close games. Like they're going to come out here and fight, and we're going to go on their territory and can't take them lightly. But you know, it is a game you should win. So let's go out there and win. Let's avoid 500. Let's move up to 4-2, and then you know, not to look ahead, but we got Baltimore after that. But again,
Yeah.
you got to take care of business this week first, and it's not going to be an easy match. Dan Campbell has a good culture brewing over there, and as those guys get better and hopefully they get better talent over the years, they're going to be a good program. But yeah, let's go take care of business
Awesome.
in Detroit.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's hope for 4-2, guys. Thanks for sticking with us. All the support you're showing us. Hunter and I have been tweeting out and post on Instagram, so make sure you check those out. We'll put those in the link below. And yeah, stay tuned for any videos coming up. Thank you guys so much for watching. Houday, let's go Bengals, Stripe Hype. We'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one,
Seize the
guys.
day.
Seize the day.